I just met with him. Looking forward to a few days of practice. Heading into North Texas and try to clean up some of the areas that we feel like we have to improve, taking care of the basketball, and add some new offensive wrinkles prior to Tuesday night. Other than that, let's open it up to questions.
Yeah, I guess, Jeff, the other night when you guys announced that about Connor, Jeff Goodman tweeted that Connor was going to appeal the decision. Is that right? Do you know? Can you confirm that?
I mean, anything going on with that stuff is kind of Connor and his parents and compliance, and Connor and I have talked that it's we're kind of looking at it as a player development. Certainly, if they want to fill out more paperwork or whatever, I mean, they can do that.
It's not, you figure it's probably,
I mean, I think he had a great case from the first time, so I just kind of stayed out of it now because I thought that there was legitimate reasons why he had a great case.
And then you mentioned Adrio did a Ron Artest on you. I guess that's when you were with Sacramento. What did Artest do, and what did Adrio do? And I guess as a coach, when you're up by a bunch, is that okay? Or did you talk to him like, hey, Adrio, don't do that? Or kind of what's the deal with all that?
Okay, so with Artest, I took him out of the game. He went down, grabbed the Gatorade, drank it, and then walked right by me to check himself back in the game. And I said, where are you going? He said, I'm going back in the game. And I said, can I at least tell you who to go in for? But Adriel, I can't remember which point guard, whether it was J5 or Jimmy. I was yelling at one of them to go in. And Adriel must have thought, the names don't sound familiar. So Adriel somehow thought it was for him to go back in. And when we got to the timeout, I was looking up because it was at a timeout when it happened. And the way that we sit on the bench is the point guards furthest to my right, off guards next to him, small forward, power forward, and then the centers all the way to my farthest left, so that when I'm diagramming stuff, I can look up and know what position guys are playing, because we certainly have guys that play different positions. But I looked up, and there was Adriel back in the game.
Did you talk to him about it later, or just whatever?
Nah, I'll take him at his word that he thought I called for him to go back in. It's all good.
And just okay, sorry, go ahead. I just don't want Eric to get bored.
Just with all the turnovers, I mean, because you've tried about everything, it seems. What more can you do to, between now and Tuesday, just trying to cut them down and taking care of the ball?
I mean, show individual film to guys. Continue to work on our fundamentals, jump stops. We've had a lot of charges in transition. And so when you work on things from a fundamental standpoint, sometimes our charges are even off dribble penetration in transition and then pass-offs where your momentum carries you forward. So maybe some more jump stop passes in transition. And then we've worked a lot in the last 3 weeks on like Ginobili side steps in transition, Ginobili layup moves around. We call it avoid the charge drill that we've done in the past, but our guys aren't really used to that drill or that move yet. So we'll keep working on that. And I mean, to me, every sport, every team's got issues, so to speak. And with us, turnovers are probably going to be an issue all year. It's just a matter of how much we can, cover that Band-Aid up as much as possible because we turn it over. And so just got to try to keep talking about it, show them individually, show them collectively as a team, talk about the value of getting a shot on goal is really what we're trying to convey to our guys, to limit live ball turnovers. The last 4 years at Nevada, we were great at taking care of the basketball. So hopefully with a little bit more comfort in the style and the system, we'll, because we didn't get pressed the other night. I mean, Rice didn't press us. We were just turning the ball over even against a zone because that's Rice played zone most of the game. Usually you don't turn the ball over against zone, but we did, but we still scored 91 points and played great defense. So we'll keep trying to work at it.
Isaiah scored several times off the dribble on Tuesday. How big is that for kind of taking the next step in his game?
Yeah, I think it's great for Isaiah. Obviously, we played him at some point guard towards the end of the game. But him having the ball in his hands, he becomes a kind of a dual, triple threat type guy with the ball in his hands. Obviously, the number of assists that he had the other night was phenomenal. So we all know about his three-point shooting. His dunk to the rim was a big-time play off the bounce. And then, like I said, he's got good size to see over defenders and stuff. So certainly and he's a willing passer. So I think that's just another part of his game that he's continuing to develop.
Coach, your intensity, fans really got to see that. The team got to see it in the game for the first time on Tuesday. Just how does that feed the rest of your team and kind of help just set the tone for their mentality and the energy that you give off that feeds to everybody else?
Yeah, I guess you'd have to ask them. Sometimes when I get home, my wife tells me to chill out, and I'm embarrassing her and my daughter when I'm getting a little carried away. But I mean, we're with the guys every day at practice, so it's like I think they kind of know what to expect. It might have been, I don't like to sit down during games.
So that's natural. That's just a natural reaction for you.
Unfortunately, yeah.
I want to ask about the polos. How long have you been wearing a polo and your coaching staff wearing a polo? Where did that get started?
Probably about 3 years. We wore polos in the NCAA tournament. We just kind of been, a lot of the recruits like it, to be quite honest. It's a little bit different. To me, it looks more uniformed. People always talk about, suits and professionalism, but we actually think the polos, we look more professional, more unified. Nobody stands out. Some coaches are better dressers than others on staff, so fortunately for some of our guys, we're not wearing ties.
Thank you.
With the minutes Ethan Henderson had, especially with Chaney out, what did you think of his play, and how much can he help this year?
Yeah, I mean, obviously with Ethan, it's he's a range rebounder. He's a little bit more unique than some of our guys. Still a young player developing. We want to continue to talk to him about his motor. We need him to really fly up and down the floor and get loose balls. I think Adrio's done a great job of that, and I think that Ethan's learning to do those type of things. And depending on matchups and so forth, depending on if we need more perimeter shooting, will kind of depend on Ethan. But really, it's for Ethan. It's because of his lack of experience last year and so forth. It's really going to come down to what he does in practice too, just as much as when he gets minutes in a game, what he's doing in practice on a daily basis. But he's had a great attitude, and we've seen tremendous amount of growth from him behind closed doors.
You guys distribute the minutes pretty good, having a short bench. Is there somebody on your staff that kind of keeps track and says, hey, probably good to get so-and-so, or how does that work? And just what you think of the substitution pattern the other night. I realize it'll change, game to game depending on circumstance, but just kind of do you have a kind of a basic philosophy on rotations and
Yeah, in the NBA D League, I played all 10 guys, but basically have a 10-man roster in the minor leagues. They all 10 basically roughly played between 20 and 26 minutes. At the NBA level, had a 9-man rotation for the most part. At Nevada, did not sub much at all. Played 6 guys predominantly 1 year, 7 1 year, and 7.5 1 year. But a lot of that too was because we had 4 players sitting out that were scholarship players. each of the years I was at Nevada, we had 4 full scholarships not in uniform. This year it's 3. So I'm a little bit different than everybody else in a everyone talks about depth at the college level. From the world I kind of grew up in the NBA level, like 82 games, an 8-minute longer game. You're traveling, you get in at 2 a.m, then you play that day. Like, it's just like you got to have depth at the NBA level. At the collegiate level, these guys are younger, 1 to 2 games a week, But we did try to distribute the minutes, and because I don't know how the flow of the game's going to go. So you'll see us at times, try to get Isaiah blow for 20 seconds before media timeout's coming. And then that 20 seconds, because of the media timeout, adds a little bit more time for him to get off his legs. So when we sub, we do think about things like that for sure when you have a limited roster. But, I'll ask Mike, or one of the assistants, like, who's played the most minutes, and if I see some fatigue. But I thought our guys did a great job of pulling themselves out. That's hard for college kids to say, hey, I need a blow. But they did a really good job of doing that, and that builds trust and a bond between them and the coaching staff as well.
Played 7.5 guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
Meaning one guy played sometimes and sometimes he didn't.
I didn't know you had half a guy. I've never heard that before. 7.5 man rotation. And then the golf ball thing, I guess that was another exercise you did. Where'd that come from? How'd you think that went? And I don't even know how you sign a golf ball, but I guess everybody wrote something on their golf ball or whatever.
Yeah. We're just trying to come up with different motivational things. Sometimes, every day we do, something, we call it voices and choices, and kind of could be life thing, could be motivation thing, could be team bonding, where we try to get to know each other. We did the, who's your favorite superhero type thing, just so that they'd have to get up in front of the team and talk about something other than basketball. The golf ball thing will be something that they get up and we, behind closed doors or internally with our own group, we try to get to know each other on a more personal level and a deeper level. That's why we try to do those type things.
Jalen said that's something you guys will do on the road, maybe pull out people's golf balls and go over maybe some things they've had to overcome or adversity to go through or whatever.
Yeah, the plan is to bring that bag with us at all times, and it might be a road trip when we're at a team meal together and we pull the ball out and somebody gets up and says what's on their golf ball and then explains how they came to that. Again, I just think it kind of brings you closer as a group, and sometimes we just, you get so in the routine of practice, then film, but how do we have fun and how do we get to know each other? Our relationships at the at the college level, that they should be, kind of lifetime relationships, and the only way to do that is get to know people a little bit deeper than them just as basketball players.
I saw on a video that the team put out that you guys, you wrote a hand letter to all the players. Was that basketball related? Was that personal related? And how did that start for you doing that for your players?
Well, good question. My dad used to write me letters before my high school games, and I saved a lot of them, and they were powerful and they were meaningful. Since they were, when it's, pen to paper, you can pull it out at different times. So I just gave him kind of a letter of, semi-goals, what we were looking for, them, how I felt about, the work ethic that they've shown up to this point. Each letter was different, and was, depending on the player, and kind of depended on the message that, that we put out there with them.
Coach, how much have you dove into UNT, and what do you see from them and their style of play and how they're going to attack you guys?
Yeah, so North Texas is they'll shoot a lot of threes. Obviously, they have a grad transfer on the inside that gives them some size, and they have 3 returners, back from last year. Coach Grant does a really, really good job. We've seen even defending baseline out of bounds. the way they defend with their inbounder instead of having him guard the ball. At times we've seen that inbound defender sag all the way out off in the lane, so it's almost like you're going against, when you're inbounding the ball, that guy's not on the floor, so you're going 5 against 4 the way that they have their defense set up. So it's going to be important just to get the ball in if they go to that type of defense where that guy on the ball is really off in the lane to give him an extra defender. So I probably gave away too much stuff, but it's all good.
What do you think about Jalen's game, and how nice was it to see those 2 shots go down from beyond the arc?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen him, shooting the ball well in practice. He's one of our better shooters. We do a 4-minute NBA shooting drill, we call it that, and a 2-minute NBA shooting drill, and then we have a 130 makes that we do in 3 minutes. So those 3 drills, he's always one of our top percentage guys. And so the big thing was just how do we get, what we're seeing, how do we get that out for the public to see and in a game? And that comes through confidence, and I think his confidence continues to grow is what I'm seeing. And, sometimes like a baseball hitter, you can hit the curveball, but, you kind of get in a slump and it gets in your head a little bit. And the same thing with shooting. I think maybe last year he made, a total of 6 threes, and he's already made 2. So I think he'll surpass last year's total of 6.
What's the status with Reggie Chaney and an update on him?
Yeah, Reggie's just, it's, behind closed doors is, our decision making, and it's just like same status as it was going into the last game, and we'll kind of let everybody know, when that changes, but right now, that's kind of where it's at, and when I'm sure Mike will put a release out if anything changes from where it is.
How's Reggie handling it?
Awesome. He's he and I are talking all the time, and he's practicing hard, and he's doing what he's supposed to do, which is be focused and getting his reps in, and he's bounces back and forth between the scout team and the second group, and he's learning our new plays or our new schemes that we're adding for North Texas, and he's been great. He's really working hard.
Yeah, good. Well, the collective, I guess, Jalen's in here, and he's not a real big guy. He had 4 rebounds. I think you had like 8 guys that got 3 or more boards. How did you like that aspect of it? Because I know you talked about guys out rebounding guys at certain positions and
Yeah.
that whole thing.
Well, I mean, one of the things that we talk about from a rebounding and loose ball perspective is like to run through the ball, almost like when a wide receiver's going to catch a ball on a down and out, is you got to go attack the ball with your hands. And so rebounding wise and loose ball wise, even though we're small, we got to go attack the ball and squeeze it, run through. It's a term, like I said, that we use. And we talk to our guys every day, like we end all of our drills with a rebound. And if it's not a rebound, it's them boxing out against air and then going into the lane and jumping off the ground and squeezing air. We do that all the time to end every drill. It's either a live ball rebound or it's a rebound in air where 5 guys are going to rebound. So I don't know if that...
I guess that just reinforces it.
Yeah, it just reinforces the importance of loose balls and how small we are and how important box outs are, and we got to do it collectively. Thank you.